Hi everybody, this is going to be a short one. I just want to mention a good book that I'm working on. I think it's an excellent book for both men and women, although the target audience is men, and it's hard to find good books for men. A lot of dating books for men actually have really shitty advice that works great in the short term but not the long term. The difference being that the really shitty books for men are the ones that focus on getting laid. So-called pickup arts, seduction, how to get a girl, get the woman of your dreams, right? The acquisition aspect, right? And those books are good for acquisition type advice, but once you've acquired it, buddy, you've acquired it, and now you're gonna have to take care of it. And at that point, you're still shitty. So if you're reading, if you're the kind of guy that sucks with girls and sucks with dating, right? You can get good at the acquisition side, but if you don't fix everything else, you're now gonna be a guy that sucks with girls, but with a girl there living with you, staring at you, wondering how she ended up with you, right? So it's not a complete solution. It does work well in the short term, like I said, for the acquisition model, but then after that, it sucks. So this good book I want to recommend is called A Tactical Guide to Women. And it's good reading for women also, because it starts off before they can start giving you advice on relationships. They have a really great breakdown on relationships in general and how relationships work. So the whole first part of the book is really great. It's gender neutral. I haven't made it all the way through yet, but so far it's really good. There's a lot of epiphanies and aha moments just in the first part. So it's called A Tactical Guide for Women. I say I'm reading it, I'm listening to it on Audible. It's a good book. You should definitely check it out. Another good book, so I talked about the whole acquisition aspect of it. I've recommended this before, and I'll just put it in a video again because not everybody has watched every single video I ever made. Pickup arts are good books to read because, number one, especially if you're a woman, absolutely especially if you're a woman, because it lets you know what to watch for when you're out with your lady friends. Although I'm sure any seasoned woman over the age of 19 is roughly familiar with the pickup artist, right? Those guys. But they're not always so obvious. There's a really good book that I love to recommend for women to read. I've given this book to several friends of mine. They've read them, and it was a real eye-opener for them, and it changed the way that they looked at men, and they made a lot better dating decisions because of it, and now they're in much higher quality relationships because of it. So it's a book called The Natural. The author's name is Richard LaRuina, which is a mouthful. But it's just called The Natural. How to Seduce and Get the Girl of Your Dreams, blah, something like that. It's got a picture of a bra on it. The book's not that expensive. It's like $10, $15. I read it, and it's still probably one of the best books I've read. Why? Because it walks you through basically the entire mating ritual. So here's how it works. The author, Richard LaRuina, he was historically bad with girls. He lived with his mother growing up. I think he had to be like a caretaker kind of person. So the boy didn't lose his virginity till he was like 24 or 25. So the absolute definition of a wallflower. He tells a story where he was at this party. Everybody was getting drunk. Everybody was hooking up, going to the bedrooms. Literally everybody there had all left the living room and left the party and gone off, and everybody was having sex. And it was just down to him and one girl, and she was a really pretty girl. And he was so shy that he just didn't know what to say, so he was just sitting there all awkward. And this poor girl was basically, you know, the last pick. And so she's sitting there not feeling all that great. He's sitting there not feeling all great. And literally, she was pretty. And she goes, well, come on, Richard, I'm really horny. Are we going to do this or what? You want to know what he did? He panicked, jumped up, left the party, hopped in his car, and drove away. And on that drive, he was, you know, beating himself up. And he was still, because he was still a virgin, and he was afraid that he was going to suck, and then that word would get out. So he had all this social anxiety about it, right? And he decided, I've got to do something about this. So I need to get good with girls. How do I get good with girls? Well, you studied pickup. So he studied pickup, and he joined a pickup group. And so they all went out together as a group, you know, doing their thing. And he found out real quick that they would leave the clubs empty-handed far more than they would leave the clubs with girls. And so he was like, you know, this doesn't really seem to be working out all that great. And the last straw was he was working on gaming this girl for a very long time. He went to go get more drinks, and the time it took him to go up to the bar, order drinks, and come back, another guy swooped in and left with her. Like, it was like, seriously, just like, he just walked in, he's like, hey, are you okay? Yeah. Here, do you want to go somewhere else? Here, let me take you someplace else, right? And she's like, okay. So there's this whole other breed of men, and I think women are very familiar with this guy, the guy who's just naturally good, that knows what you need, and knows both what you want and knows what you need. And it's very easy to recognize these men. It's the same usual routine, so you can relax. It's sort of like one of these things where if you've done a job before, you know how to do the job, they know how to do the job, and it just works, and you just fall into that rhythm. You're like, okay, I know exactly who you are, where you're going with this, you know who I am and where I'm going, so we can go, right? And that's the purpose of the book, The Natural. But where it differs from other books like The Game by Neil Strauss, which is, I personally think it's an absolutely shitty book, because I think it's very short-sighted. It doesn't really give you any long-term benefits. But with The Natural, what he does is he recognizes that it's not just about what you do or how you look as a man. There's a lot more to it, and there tends to be this phenomenon of a naturally attractive man, somebody who's just naturally good with girls. And you hear it anecdotally all the time, like, I don't know how he does it. Like, I don't know how he does it. Like, seriously, like, because he's not attractive, he's kind of fat, kind of pudgy, not the most handsome man in the room, but somehow or another he's got all the girls. Like, he's just that kind of guy that can get any girl in the bed, right? That's The Natural. And so what Richard La Roina did, coming from somebody who lost his virginity in his mid-20s, and somebody who was fairly scientific and much of a reader, sat down and analyzed what makes men naturally attractive. So he did several things. He realized that pickup arts was not the way. And he sat down and was like, okay, how do I be attractive? What makes a man naturally attractive? And then what are the qualities of that man that produce the attraction? And then lastly, how do I get there as a man? So it's a little bit of everything rolled into one. It's a good book, especially I think it's more valuable for women than anything else, because I think it's going to really clue you in as to the approach men take and what makes men attractive and what doesn't. And I think if you do that, then when you go out with your girlfriends and you see the guys doing this, you know they're not the guy you want to go home with. But then outside of that, there's the indicators of who it is, what kind of man you're dealing with, become a lot more blurry. It's a lot more difficult to tell. So the Natural really helped lay that out from many different dimensions. So it's a great book for men if you suck with girls, or if you just suck in general. I know when I got divorced, I sucked for a lot of reasons. And it was the first book that really resonated, that had a lot of truth to it. And it really set me on the right path. So the book The Natural, and then the Tactical Guide for Women is also really good. Like I said, it's not necessarily gender specific. It's aimed at men, but ladies, read dating books for men. Don't read dating books for women. Read dating books for men, because it's going to help you. You're going to recognize the different approaches men are taking. You're going to recognize the book readers, right? So, and that's what I'm getting at here. You have the men that are the pickup artists. You have the book readers, and then you have the guys that don't need to read books because they're just well-developed men. So that's about all I'm going to say about it. Check out these two books, Tactical Guide to Women and The Natural. If you're considering reading the game, don't bother. It really just doesn't have much of a long-term benefit, I don't think. Read it if you want to. I think it's a dumpster book, but that's just my opinion. So thank you very much. I gotta go clock in. Hooray. So I'll see you on the next video. Oh yeah, do please comment. I love to hear back from people on stuff like this. Let me know if you've read these books, and let me know if because I'm not a woman, right? But I think it's a pretty good way of dividing men up into three easily recognizable categories. The pickup artists, the book readers, and then the men who just are. So let me know if there's another category I've missed. By all means, please share. I look forward to hearing from you. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.